In 2025, I filmed a lot of race cars, and being home and taking some time off got me thinking about just reflecting on, some of my highlight moments of the year and some of my biggest lessons, I think, that I've learned, specifically in the World Endurance Championship, because that's the one that was all new for me this year. I definitely learned a hell of a lot. I would say it's the most I've learned in a single year doing this. And I basically categorized those feelings into 4 sections, which is feeling over framing, going the extra mile, right place, right time, and slowing down. So let's start with the first one. Feeling over framing. The moment this takes me straight back to is Imola, the second race. It's a Ferrari home win, and if you know anything about racing, that's a big deal. Also for me personally, it felt like a really full circle moment, being there and experiencing it as someone I think who was born a Ferrari fan. And I actually got to stand on the podium and film the podium on the podium, from the podium. And that was an unbelievable experience. Overlooking all the fans and the teams, and the atmosphere was just like something I can't describe. A feeling that is almost impossible to convey properly unless you're there. The national anthem like really gives you goosebumps, and all the fans singing and the flags waving. What that really reminded me of was that the subject in your frame is as important, if not more important, than the overall framing and like the composition and the light and the colors. Those things are obviously vital for creating a visually beautiful and like stimulating shot. But for conveying an emotion and a feeling and an atmosphere, like the stuff that you almost can't really describe, there your subject matter is so vital and so important, and how that is portrayed and how that conveys a feeling. I think often on Instagram, anyone can kind of produce pretty images these days, and it feels like there's often just lacking story. And obviously this thing of, well, any photo tells 1,000 stories, and there's an element of truth to that. But in a world that is so saturated by high quality visuals, it feels like often it's lacking substance. And I think that moment on the podium in a sporting context, in this case, really reminded me that like substance comes from what's happening in the frame and not how beautiful the frame is. And I think the cherry on the cake for me was that I ended up being able to share the podium with 2 of my best mates, 2 of my best friends who have basically been part of my journey since the beginning as well. Since I stepped foot in Europe, or even before Europe, my first time at a racetrack even was with one of these guys, and to be able to share that podium with them after having filmed them so many times, it was just like a really special moment. So that one really stands out to me. The second one was going the extra mile. When you're nine days into a 10-day shoot, and then only the biggest race of the year starts, and it's 24 hours long, as is the case with Le Mans, you know you're in for a big push, because at that point you're already pretty depleted. And the moment I specifically think of was 5 a.m. Sunday morning, so the race has already been going on throughout the whole night. I haven't slept yet, I've been out on track the whole night, pushing through the tiredness, but I was on an absolute buzz and an absolute high. and there's the back straight that goes straight through the forest, and it's like it doesn't feel like a racetrack at all at that point. You're literally in the middle of the forest. All around you is just trees, and there's a straight road that comes through, and there's a barrier that's waist height. And then the cars come past you. They're 2 meters away when they come past you, and they're doing over 300. And you just cannot believe that, like, the sound and the visceral, like, feeling of these cars, the wind rush and the noise, and the ground, like, it trembles even. In that moment, I was just like, this is the coolest job ever. It's those small moments where you have those realizations that make going that extra mile worth it. Yeah, and it all came together, and actually I remember filming a little iPhone clip where I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was on such a high, such a buzz. Apart from maybe sitting in the car, I think that's the coolest job in the world. I'm just blown away. For someone who likes cars, F1, no, this is where it's at. Honestly, this is where it's at. Yeah, so that one really stands out to me in that regard, and going the extra mile was really worth it. So then the third one was right place, right time. And Bahrain race day actually stands out most to me here because it already was such a hyped up day. It's the last race of the season. All the championships are on the line, and there's just like a huge amount of expectation and hype and tension, and like before this race gets going. And so that already kind of sets a precedent for the day, and you can just feel that in the air. And then on top of that, we filmed the whole race day on anamorphic lenses like these ones that I'm using now. That completely changes how you shoot. They're fully manual. We haven't shot all season with manual lenses. The aspect ratio is completely different. As you can see, it's a super wide frame. So it's just different, and you need to adjust to it. And it's it's live sport. It's a live environment. Stuff's happening fast, and you need to kind of roll with the punches, is how they say, I think. With the manual lens, you start seeing things differently. That was a really interesting thing to experience, because you realize you start picking up on things you haven't picked up on before when you shot in a more digital, autofocus kind of way. And you start noticing like really unexpected moments, smaller moments, seemingly insignificant moments that actually come together and tie the story together so well. Roger Penske, he signed the race cars before they went out the final time that they raced the 963 because Porsche's left, and there was Jenson Button doing his last race, and filming him getting ready, putting his helmet on, getting in the car for the last stint of his professional career ever. There were so many moments. Then of course the big one at the end when Ferrari won, and I basically got the shot right in front of the drivers that kind of no one else got. So there's all these moments that are quite hard to predict, as I said, because it's live action, but I think through extensive experience and like just a deep racing knowledge, you can make your own luck in a way. And when that happens and it all comes together, it feels so rewarding because you really feel like you've absolutely nailed the assignment, despite the so many variables that are outside of your control when you're shooting live action. And the final point was about slowing down. Motorsport is fast and it can feel like a rush, and at least for me it's often felt like it can be overwhelming. You feel like you should be everywhere at the same time and trying to capture everything at once. Again, live sport, it only happens once. You're trying to make it all happen, and that can feel quite overwhelming, especially when suddenly you're presented with like perfect conditions, which is how it was in Fuji at the end of the race, the last half an hour. Suddenly the light broke through the clouds. It was quite an overcast day for a lot of the race. And it was like, oh my word, this light is beautiful. I haven't experienced light like this at the racetrack before. Like I need to go out on track and film Mount Fuji with the cars coming past. Like that would be the shot. But timing would have been like off, and I wouldn't like it would have been a mad rush and I would have made compromises. And I was like, let me just shoot what I have here in front of me, but shoot that the best way I can. And that's what I ended up settling for. I was like, I'm in the pit lane, the light is amazing here as well. And let me try and hone in and try and find those details and those textures that I otherwise maybe don't look for when I'm trying to just capture so much of the moment. The cars coming in for their last stops and just like the smoke coming off the brakes, like the movement of the mechanics and the way the light hit, like it just felt like a video game, honestly. It felt like Gran Turismo. Just do what you have in front of you and do it like amazingly well. More is not always better. Sometimes less is more, sometimes less is better. The big moments, the important moments, they're obviously vital and obviously necessary, but it's actually the small stuff in between that really brings something together and tells a story in a like more complete way, and like it just elevates it above the rest. Short form content has its place and it's great and it can be entertaining and a good challenge to shoot and produce, but it's the stories that really captivate me. Being able to flesh something out a little bit over a little bit more time, incorporating real human element and emotion, highs and lows, triumph, tribulation, celebration, disappointment, tension, suspense. Like these are all things that are hard to really convey in short form, traditional short form content. And I think that's what really excites me now and what I've learned over the course of the season. We'll see what 2026 brings. There'll definitely be some more time at track, but for now I'm just going to go back to enjoying time with the family and these rather spectacular views, which I get to call home, unbelievably.